Have you ever had that feeling when you met a new person and like your entire body just went into the fight or flight mode? You know, when like your whole body told you there's something not right with this person? Be aware. And have you ever not listened to that intuition? Have you ever actually pursued the friendship or the relationship with that person just to be disappointed? Yeah, we've all been there. Your body always tells you when something's not right. Your intuition, your heart, your mind, all of these aspects come together and let you know, be aware. Be aware. It's the gut feeling. That's what we call it, right? I had that gut feeling that this was not right for me, but I went for it anyway, and then shit hit the fan. Well, I've been there too, multiple times, and I feel like today we are gonna talk about that. There are three stories that come to my mind when I think about when I did not listen to that very clear gut feeling, and I pursued the thing anyway, and I was burnt in the process. Because I don't know who needs to hear that, but I think at some point we all actually do. We all need to hear it. We all need to be reminded of it. And maybe right now in your life you're experiencing the situation again. You met someone and you are not entirely sure about this person. There is something telling you be careful. So maybe you should be. Maybe I'm here to tell you that you actually should be careful. I feel like I want to start with the first, the most fresh, and the one that actually sparked this video. So if you watched my comeback video to YouTube, which I popped somewhere in here, I was talking about how I took this big roundabout to come back to the place I left from, just to realize that that roundabout was actually really important. Well, as you can imagine, I left out a lot of the story. I actually recorded that video twice, and in the first version of the video I went into a bit of a detail of my experience in my old household, but after I recorded it I was like, you know what, no, like this is not how I want to explain this, because there was a lot of like blaming, or I don't know if blaming is the right word, but just I was pinpointing a certain person with who I was interacting in that place, and I decided to leave it out. But as life takes you on the journey, it always takes you where you need to go. It always gives you the experiences which you need to have. That happened to me with my ankle. So on Good Friday, which a side note really confuses me why we are calling a day when that Jesus was crucified, whether you believe in it in Christianity or not, doesn't matter. But the day when this big savior was crucified, we call it Good Friday. Anyway, the end of the side note, a food for thought, I would say. And for my first run of the season, I don't run during the summer, and there was also more reasons why I wasn't running, but I was exercising, so I wasn't like weak in my body. And I run every time I go to the gym. I love running. I love to do it. Fulfills me. I don't do it because of even exercise. It's just something what I really love, what it does to my mind and my body, and just running through the forest or on the beach, you know, it's just a joyful activity for me. But even off the topic. So on a Good Friday I went for my first run. I really felt the call, like it wasn't even me pushing myself. I was thinking if I should go to the gym, but no, my body wanted to go for a run. I ran not much, just 5k casually, you know. I did step a few times wrongly, and I knew that I want to get new shoes before I start running because they don't provide enough stability for me. But anyway, I went for a run. I stepped wrongly a couple of times. I noticed that my ankles went into a weird position, but I didn't feel any immediate pain, so I just continued. And hours later that day, the pain really started. So I didn't like sprain my ankle completely, but I did something to it, and it was insane pain. Like it was insane. I couldn't even step on my foot anymore. I couldn't find a comfortable position for it to just rest and not be sore. It was insane. And it was a Good Friday. Everything was closed, and because it was the right foot, I couldn't even like drive myself to somewhere. So I started freaking out for a minute there, But then I realized that I have great friends around me. So I let them know what happened. And also my neighbor, she is a full future witch. I call her a future witch doctor because uses she's trained in so many different techniques, but she uses this technology to work with the body, all sorts of stuff. I tested so many of her offerings already, and she's just unreal. So she was one of the people I also like messaged just because she's my neighbor. I was like, babe, like, if you're free, if I need to, can you take me to the hospital? I think I sprained my ankle, because I seriously thought that I need to go to the hospital, and I don't like doctors, but I was like, this might be serious. I've never been in so much pain. So that day also, as I mentioned just before, universe always, or God always gives you what you need, not what you maybe want, but what you really need. And I was reminded so loudly that day by what an amazing community, amazing people I have around me. I felt so much love, care, and support. And for a person who lives on the other side of the world from her family, that's a big thing. So I'm entirely grateful. But what happened when my neighbor had clients all day, so she said she's gonna come later in the evening and she will do a few things for me. She brings her mat key, and she brought me comfrey from her garden to put on my ankle, and like really took care of me. The funny thing is also that we were planning to catch up since I moved back here. And I've been here for, I would say, it's April, almost like 3 months. And because of our busy schedules, we just did not have time to catch up. But because of my experience, my accident, we had finally a chance to catch up over this unpleasant situation. And so as she was doing the treatment on me, we had a little catch up. We spoke a little, and she asked me, so how was your previous house? How was the situation? Why did you leave? Was it nice? Like we were like talking about that, and I was in a lot of pain still. So I said a couple of sentences, maybe 3, about my previous household. Like, it was very mild explanation of why I left. And I mentioned my landlord lady because she was a big part of it. And she looked at me and she said, is her name so and so? And I'm like, huh? How come you know her name? I said, how come you know her? And she said, oh Lord, I did have a session with her because she is a kinesiologist. And she said that after she left the session, if she did not have a dog, she would drive into a tree. Like, she felt so down, so depressed from the way how she was treated by her, from her energy, from everything. And it just really clicked in my brain, like, wow, okay, so it was real. What I felt was real. I got a confirmation from universe, from God, that I did not make this shit up. It was real. Just to go back a little so you understand, I am a very positive person. I'm very happy. I'm really focused on my life, on my mission, on what I want. I'm courageous. I am very active. I always do something. I do rest a lot as well, but I am a very active person. And if something bothers me, I do everything in my power to figure it out and to either sort it or let it go and move on with my life, because I believe that that everything happens for us for a reason. The state of depression is teaching us something, what we need to learn, and then we can move on. And generally, if we are feeling depressed or anxious or any kind of negative emotion, is for a specific reason. And if people are depressed for eons, is because they are not addressing that specific reason. Generally, okay, this is a very generic explanation, but that's how I go about it. So if I feel a bit off, I'll do things, I'll figure it out, I moved into my previous house in like April, exactly like a year ago. I moved in there. My landlord Like very shortly after I moved in there, my landlords were going to Europe for 2 months. And so they left and I lived my life and I was happy. I was recording videos. I was being active with my community, you know, I was growing, I was fine, I was happy. I was joyous because I had my own space, even though there were certain things that were not in alignment with me, like where it wasn't such. I was like, it's okay, I'm here, fine. That was fine. And if you watch the comeback video to YouTube, I pop it here again. I said that in July, when I had my birthday, after my birthday, everything went down. And I got in such a deep depression. I never had this in my life. Even when I broke up from this 6 years of a relationship. Even if I like went through something really traumatic and tragic, I'd never felt in such a deep, heavy depression that I was just laying in my bed. I couldn't do anything. I did not understand what was happening with me, and I was actually doing my things. I was doing all that I could, that I knew how to do to get out of the depression, and nothing was working. The more I was pushing, the more I was getting deep and deep into my depression, and I just couldn't understand. And like there was this voice in my head. My landlords came back in July from their Europe trip. This little voice in my mind which was telling me, like when I was interacting with my landlord, when I was meeting them at some point, because they lived above me. They lived like it was a house with a granny flat on the bottom and a main house on the top. I was annoyed when I was meant to meet them, or you know, like I just was not feeling it, especially the landlord lady. But I was like, I was not paying attention to it. I was like, no, they're fine, they're good, whatever. And then I had this experience. So also the thing was that in a short time, in like 5 months of me being there, my car literally broke down 5 times. And I say broke down because it means that I was unable to drive it. Like I was in some position that, like there was a situation that I could not drive it. I had to call my roadside assistance to literally come and take me to a mechanic or something like that, you know. Like I was unable to drive my car 5 times in like 5 months, and it was non-mechanical thing. Like one time it was, but it was mostly non-mechanical thing. So I couldn't say that, oh, my car is old, it's breaking down. No, that was like obviously, like it was such a random things, and I was like, what's going on? I never had so many problems with my car. And when it happened first time, right, the first time was my landlord, the guy was mowing the lawn, and a rock flew into my window and it shattered it to the pieces. I, like when he came to tell me, I was shocked, and I was very emotional because it was the first time. Like if this was the first experience, I would just be like, wow, okay, no worries. But because it was the first time that had something happen, I was like, what's going on? And like I got emotional, but I wasn't upset at him. Like accidents happen, like I wasn't, you know, upset at him. But when the landlord lady came out, and I was like with complete peace, like there was no rage, nothing. I was just like, that's so interesting. This is the first time something happened to my car since I moved to this property. And the landlord lady, the holy being, the yogin, the kinesiologist, she just lost it. The way she started screaming at me, but not at me, it was just this wild experience of like, what the fuck is happening? Like I never experienced, like I dated an abusive man, okay, and that was in comparison. The way how she was screaming was in comparison to an abusive man I dated before. I couldn't believe it. I was not expecting it because that was not directed at her or anything. I was just stating the obvious, and also feeling like maybe they will understand because they are actually, you know, they work with energy. So it's like an interesting topic to raise and we can maybe talk about it. No. And the thing, like, okay, we sometimes lose things, that's fine, but you say sorry, you stand up to it, That did not happen. She laughed about the situation. She laughed in my face a few days later about how she got angry, with no sorry, with no anything. And I'm explaining this situation to such a detail because that was the moment I needed to start putting things together. I could not respect the lady after that situation. I tried, I worked within myself in understanding why the situation triggered me so badly. Like, why am I feeling this way towards her? I started really realizing that there's something not right here for me to be here. And I realized, I started backtracking and I was like, hang on, my horrible depression started literally when they came back. Like, I was fine before, I was happy. And then they come back and I start going downhill and downhill and downhill. And even though I'm fighting it back, I'm doing all sorts of things that come to my mind, all these different techniques. I'm figuring out new practices, new techniques, and nothing was working. And I was just going down and down and down. And there were more situations in that house that really showed me that this is not for me, that there is something not right here and I need to get out. It took another 5 months to get out. It wasn't a quick and easy process. I was divinely guided and I'm here and I'm so happy, as happy as I could be. When my neighbor started telling me about how she felt after she left the session with this lady, I couldn't believe the similarities to how I felt during that time. Like, she said that after a session with her, she started hating on everything spiritual for like 2 years. And I'm like, man, this is exactly what happened to me. Like, till this day, when I see a monk, I get frustrated. And I'm like, I'm not even listening to you. I feel a certain form of resentment towards the particular community she was a part of. And I mean the worldwide community of it. The people who have nothing to do with her. Like, what I thought that was genuine and caring, I saw that it's not. I cannot unsee it now. Throughout all of this time when I was trying to leave that place, all the different situations I had there, everything, I felt it so strong that I know I was not making it up. And I also want to mention that it's not just her and that one particular situation. There were many situations I'm not gonna even explain to you because some of them are like insane. Like, are you serious? Like, so it's not just her who destroyed this bubble of this particular community for me. And I mean the worldwide community, not just the community that surrounds her. They were trying to persuade me to join, and not persuade me to join. They were literally telling me that if I won't join, I will never be happy. If I don't start follow the particular guru, my life is lost. And so yeah, we are borderlining a cult at this moment, right? That's what it felt like to me. It's like a cult. And I'm glad I got out. So when my neighbor explained to me that after one session with her, she felt everything I felt after living there, well, that's not a coincidence. What I felt for all this time and did not want to pay attention to was real, was absolutely real. Like, getting spaced out as I'm trying to explain it. So it just shows me that I'm truly tapping into something real here. There are places on this earth that maybe experience a lot of trauma or very traumatic events on there, and there is energies and spirits floating around trying to attach to something, and they can attach to people, especially people who are emotionally weak, traumatized, or just prone to drama, just full of hate, or those kind of people who hold the low vibration. They are easy to attach to by these entities floating around. And so I don't know if it was just her or it's just literally these entities which are attached to her because of who she is. Does not matter. Was not right for me, was not right for my neighbor, and was not right for many people, because my neighbor told me that she met more people who agree with what she felt. A long story, because this one was the one that really sparked this video. If you feel that someone's energy is not right, it's probably because it's not. Maybe it's not just particularly right for you. Maybe there is literally something really negative around the field of that person, and you do need to leave. It takes a courage to really listen to your intuition. And I did have another friend experience. I had a couple of friend experiences like that I met someone and I really wanted to become a friend. Like, I really wanted a friend in my life. And so I ignored those intuitive hits telling me, do not trust this person, do not tell this person too much, this will bite you in the back. And it did every time. So the moral of this story is to listen to your intuition, to listen to that voice and pay attention to it. Thanks to the fact that I actually paid attention to that voice, even though I did not look like that in the beginning, I was more cautious and I was paying more attention to the behavior of these people. So I understand when it's really time to go. Because your gut will always tell you when someone's right for you, babe. So trust that. Thank you for staying with me throughout this video. I hope it did bring you some clarity and maybe help you to make some decisions about people you let into your life and how you treat those relationships around you. I know that we all have intuition. Some of us listen to it more, some of us less. But we all have intuition. So you listen to that, your intuition. If you missed my last big video, that was the part 2 to my introduction. And I was talking a lot about initiation. And I'm gonna pop it right here. Thank you so much for all your likes, subscribes, comments, all of that. It does take a minute to build a channel, and so I'm just really grateful for all of those that actually find the time to watch this. I'll see you next week in my new video, and stay well until then. And remember, your life is fully in your hand.